Some will say this is fear-mongering. How will you respond to those who will say climate change activists or chroniclers are fear-mongering?
I don't know what to say. I mean, people were 3 years ago, there were people writing about a possible pandemic. Everyone said that they were fear-mongering. And look at us now. I mean, everything has been shut down. And look, we are not in normal times. We have to give up the idea that we can go back to living as we did in the 20th century or even in the early 21st century. Those days are gone. There was a before times, and now we're in some different time. We're in the Anthropocene, where things are different. Everything is going to be different. We have to give up these ideas that, there's some sort of rosy time ahead. There's not. We can see all these crises are accelerating. They're coming at us harder and harder. So, we just have to prepare ourselves for a completely disrupted future. That is really what awaits us.
You've used Holland and China, in fact, as examples or rare examples of countries that have been implementing a managed retreat, in a sense, from vulnerable locations. Do you believe that there are, therefore, role models out there of countries who are conscious of the fact that their coasts are vulnerable to cyclonic activity, to climate change, and are acting unlike us?
Oh yes, Holland is absolutely a role model. A large part of Holland is actually reclaimed land, so they've been dealing with this for a long time. But I was in Holland a few years ago, and they actually have a sort of minister who deals with flood possibilities, and they've been distributing these floating houses. They have a very elaborate plan for retreating, for letting a part of the country flood, and they've created these floating houses, etc., for people to live in, if that actually happens. Even here in New York, there has been some managed retreat. They don't talk about it exactly in that way, but the city has bought out people, who live in exposed parts of Staten Island. So it is happening in many parts of the world, and absolutely it has to happen in many parts of India. I mean, what I really fear is that it's going to take a major flood event, in Goa, in Mumbai, before people actually start acting. Because you look at the weird, deranged reality. Real estate, which is absolutely sea-facing in Mumbai, is the most expensive real estate.
What's interesting, of course, is that certain states, particularly Odisha, for example, which has bared the brunt of a number of cyclones in recent times, has almost perfected the art then of disaster management in a cyclone. In fact, Naveen Patnaik, can be seen as one leader who's actually made an effort to at least ensure that disaster management is in place. Lakhs of people getting rescued and evacuated before every cyclone. But presumably that's governance post the event or during the event. What you're talking about is you need to find ways in which you can, in some way, protect the communities right around the year.
I'm glad you mentioned Odisha and Naveen Patnaik, and you're absolutely right. Odisha has really been an outlier in how well it's dealt with cyclones in recent years. But on that front, I must say also that I was very pleasantly surprised by the preparations that Bombay undertook for Cyclone Tauktae, and I think for that we really have to give the credit to Aditya Thackeray. He seems to have responded extremely well, deployed a lot of people. So again, we see now that in as much as government exists at all, it exists in the states and with regional entities and local entities. The central government has just sort of